All right, Sports Mashup number 112, May 24th, 2023. The date of today, we will begin in the NBA.
LeBron says he has a lot to think about this offseason as the Lakers got swept by the Nuggets in the Western Conference Final. Could retire or wait to play one season with his son, which would be 2 years.
Could be 3. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised his son if he played 2 years at USC, which he probably should, unless he is really, really good his freshman year, which I don't really anticipate. But this is the unfortunate part of sports media.
Yeah.
The unfortunate part of sports media. Go ahead.
Like, this could be like something, even if he goes undrafted, LeBron gets him signed just to play, even if it's a couple games, and then his kid goes to the G League or something. And LeBron could retire mid-year, or he could finish the year out.
Yeah. This is like the unfortunate part of sports media where LeBron becomes the story instead of the Nuggets, who are on like a historic run in terms of they beat the Wolves in 6, they beat the Suns in 6, sweep the Lakers. So now they are going into the NBA Finals with a 12-5 record in the play, or 12-4 record in the playoffs.
Which I mean, and the Lakers shouldn't have been that far. Let's be honest.
Yeah, I agree. I think the Lakers had a lot of flaws this year, especially when you're relying on D'Angelo Russell to be like a 20-10 guy. It's just not gonna work.
You also got him late in the season, and he'd already been there before and had a bad time there.
Yeah. You also have to factor in like the Lakers kind of benefited from the West being what it was this year, which was like the Nuggets have been the only real sure thing, so it's not surprising that they got out of it and they're in the finals. But like the Suns had question marks, the Grizzlies had a ton of weird issues. The Warriors were terrible on the road all season. They had some flaws. So I think the Nuggets were clearly the best team in the West. So
yeah, and I think the Suns' only struggle was just because KD was injured. I think Chris Paul got hurt. Like, if they were all healthy, they should have been in the Western Conference Final.
Yeah, and unfortunately, well, I mean, the Kings were fine, great story, but they weren't like a real threat to get out.
They were the highest scoring team in the league.
Yeah.
Somehow.
Well, we'll talk about an assistant coach that had his big deal with that here in a moment. But the Raptors are interviewing former Nets head coach Steve Nash. I think Nash deserves another chance. I don't really think you can judge him based on the fact that he was coaching a Nets team that had Kyrie on it and James Harden for a time, and Durant wasn't that healthy. So I think he deserves another chance.
Yeah, you had 3 superstars on one team, one of which is bullheaded and probably was mad at KD for how he left them with the Thunder to begin with, and all that. And then you had Kyrie's suspension because of the COVID deal.
Yeah, disaster. Nash definitely deserves a second chance, and the Raptors would be a nice spot for him, I think. But who knows?
I don't think he did a bad job when he was with Brooklyn.
No, I don't really think it was that bad either. I think the Raptors are doing an interesting thing here where they're interviewing some interesting candidates, and
so far it's
JJ
been Redick and him, right?
That's the only ones that I've seen like really reported on, but there's got to be more than that, I would think. The Suns have. Yeah, I just think that the Raptors may be looking for like a younger long-term guy, which I think Redick would be that if he's seriously considered for the job. And Nash, is still relatively young, so who knows?
And he's Canadian.
Yeah, that's another thing. The Suns have 4 coaches that they're meeting with in the coming days, advancing. The Suns reporting on the Suns head coaching job has been all over the place. You had Woj say that Nick Nurse, Doc Rivers, Jordy Fernandez, who's the Kings assistant, and Kevin Young, who's the Suns assistant, were advanced into the second stage or whatever. But then Chris Haynes came out, and his report, let me see if I can find it real quick. His report was like completely different than this. So Yeah, it says Milwaukee associate head
Was Doc
coach.
even in it?
It just said Phoenix is yet to reach the final stage of interviewing candidates for his head coaching vacancy and are expected to meet with Milwaukee associate head coach Charles Lee and Golden State assistant Kenny Atkinson. So I don't even know what to think. I think the Suns are maybe throwing some things to the press and seeing what happens. But if I had to guess, I think there are 3 guys that have a chance to get this job. And I think it's Nick Nurse. I think it's Jordi Fernandez, who was a big part of the Nuggets offense before he went to the Kings. And it was obviously a big part of the Kings offense. And I think Kevin Young will be the third one, who's already a Suns assistant. So I don't put any stock in Doc Rivers. I don't put any stock in Kenny Atkinson. But the reporting has been weird. There's a lot of names.
He already interviewed where?
Atkinson?
Atkinson already interviewed where?
Yeah, it might have been Toronto.
Was it back to the Hornets?
That was last year, yeah.
Yeah, no, I couldn't remember who it was. It would have been last week's Doc or the week before.
He's one of the 3 finalists for the Bucks job. The Bucks 3 finalists.
Go ahead.
It's Nick Nurse, Adrian Griffin, who's a Raptors assistant, and then Kenny Atkinson are the 3 finalists for the Bucks job.
But you wouldn't want Doc?
No. I just he's similar to Monty in the
football.
Yeah, he's similar to Monty in the sense he doesn't make a lot of adjustments in the playoffs, and he has a very, very long track record of not doing very well in the playoffs. And I don't really see the point in firing Monty to hire Doc Rivers. I have no interest in that. I think if the Suns do anything, I think they go Nick Nurse, which is a guy who's won a championship. I think you either do that or you go the young route, which is Jordi Fernandez or Kevin Young. So we'll see. But the reporting has been interesting. Budenholzer?
Has the Bucks old head coach interviewed anywhere?
He's been involved in somewhere, but not. I know that Phoenix isn't interested, which is, probably says a lot about how they view him because he's from the area. But the Sixers, I believe, have interest in Budenholzer. So, who knows?
On to the NBA playoffs.
Yeah, the Eastern Conference Finals.
You got the Celtics versus the Heat. Heat are up 3-1 in the series. Celtics beat them last night.
Yeah, and then the line on Game 5 is kind of shocking.
Yeah.
But we'll get there. And then, you think about what the Heat have done.
Western Conference Finals.
Yeah, but real quick on the Heat, I just think that, man, some of the players they're using, I just think it shows how great Eric Spoelstra is. And I think that the
Tyler Hero's out.
Yeah. You have the Martin twins playing. You have Gabe Vincent playing it's bizarre how this team is 1 game away from the NBA Finals. And I think they should be a little bit worried that they didn't sweep them, but you still got 3 more chances.
They have the Martin twins that where'd they go to college at?
I don't.
They didn't go to Kansas, did they?
No, they went to Nevada.
Yeah.
And they were not both of them, but not very useful for the Hornets. And they go to Miami, or one of them goes to Miami, and here we are. It's Caleb Martin, but yeah. Anyway, the Western Conference Finals, the Nuggets swept the Lakers in 4. So the Nuggets now could be days before the NBA Finals begin for the Nuggets. So they're going to have to stay sharp. On to the NFL.
Yeah, the NFL announced that Green Bay will host the 2025 NFL Draft. The 2024 NFL Draft is in Detroit.
Yeah, a little run on NFC North cities for the draft. I think Green Bay's got a lot of time to figure it out, but obviously infrastructure and some of the other things are going to have to be figured out because you got to remember how small Green Bay is. So hopefully they have enough time to figure that out. But this is obviously huge for a team that doesn't have a real owner per se. Financially, this is going to be enormous for Green Bay.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be cool if they could do it on the field and have the tables behind the stage or something.
I almost think you have to plan to go bigger than that, though, because the NFL draft is just huge now.
Yeah, I was
I
just
don't
thinking
really know.
I was just thinking you could fit a lot of fans in those seats,
That's true.
and then have half the field with each team's booth area.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see, but I'm curious to see how they'll do it. They got 2 years to figure it out, so hopefully they do. Let's get to this here. The Jets are working out former Bills punter Matt Araiza. I guess it's Araiza because there's no ZIA. It's IZA. But he was, remember the punt god, San Diego State, big time talent coming out. He was named in a lawsuit regarding a gang rape of a 17-year-old. He was cut by the Bills before last season. However, he wasn't charged now. Evidence suggested he was not there. He's pretty much cleared now. And the Jets already have Thomas Morstead as their punter, so I don't think that he'll get a roster spot per se unless they want to have 2 punters in the roster. But I think he's definitely a guy that's going to get another chance, as he should, since he was not charged and the evidence suggested that he was not there. But
Was Morstead the guy who punted for the Saints or
Yeah.
for the Chiefs?
Saints,
Who's the guy from the Chiefs?
the current one,
Yeah.
Tommy Townsend.
Oh, that's why I get confused.
He's got long hair. He's got long hair. Morstead had some long hair going, but yeah, we'll see. I think Araiza will get another chance. I just don't know where, but he is potentially as talented as anybody punting in the NFL right now. So he was fantastic at San Diego State. But now we go over to golf.
Yeah, last weekend you had the PGA Championship. Winner was Brooks Koepka, won 3.1 million, shot 9 under, and then you also had Michael Block, tied 15th after winning a play-in tournament to get into the tournament. Tied 15th, won $3.3 million. It equated to like 1,820 of his training sessions, and he earned a spot in the 2024 PGA Championship, and now also got into the Charles Schwab competition with the extension.
Yeah, I really, tired of the story. I got to be honest. But anyway, good for him.
I get it. I mean, I just like it because, I mean, it shows a guy who's just a golf pro at a course, who trains people all the time, just tries playing in these get-in challenges, gets in, and then ties 15th.
Yeah.
And beats his idol of John Rahm by 5 strokes.
Yeah. But I will say this about Koepka. I mean, I missed the mark here. I didn't really think he had. I didn't see him winning last week, and I was wrong about that. My picks for this were horrific, but I did have Hovland to win, so I got close there. But yeah, I didn't see Koepka winning. But we got, you're 5 majors. That's once you get to 5, that's where the territory starts to shrink. Like you're in a huge space in golf history, because I think there's 20 guys with 5+ majors. Once you get to 5, changes a lot. He's now past Rory. He's tied Seve Ballesteros. So, I mean, I could see him winning. I think he's going to win at least 1 more, maybe 2, if he's healthy.
It had just been so long since he won.
Yeah.
That people always wrote him off. And
36.
The fact that he went to the LIV Tour.
Yeah, I think that changes things a little bit in terms of his perception, but played great at the Masters. He's 36 major starts, 18 top 10s, 5 wins, and 9 second or betters. So 4 runner-ups. So that's pretty much 9 majors out of 36 majors played where he was either the runner-up or the winner. And 18 top 10s. I mean, you got to remember how many majors he played out of those 36 where he was hurt. He probably played at least 5 or 6 where he was actually hurt. And then you have to factor in the early ones in his career when he wasn't really that established. I mean, his story, like it took him a lot to get to where he is compared to some other guys that are on the tour.
And so out of that 18, that means he's got 9 finishes other than the top 1 and 2 within 3 to 10.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, his major record pretty much speaks for itself. And maybe there's some narratives out there that maybe this will light a fire under Rory's ass, because Rory's never had a guy in his generation have more majors than him, because he's had 4. Brooks now has 5. So if that can get Rory going to be like, okay, I need to win another, I don't know what will. But,
or I need to start making cuts and actually playing tournaments.
Yeah, he did. He was kind of present at the PGA Championship. He had his moments. He got to like 3 under, 2 off the lead on Saturday, and it was like, okay, here we go. And then he just can't. He doesn't play the disciplined type of golf that Brooks Koepka plays, which is Brooks has the discipline to hit every putt at the right speed. Lag putting was phenomenal. He'll hit it to the middle of the green every time if he has to. He'll hit a lot of fairways. It's major championship golf, and that's exactly what Brooks plays when he's healthy. So the fact that he has 3 PGAs and 2 U.S. Opens is not a surprise. And I wouldn't be that surprised to see him be severely in the mix in the next 2 majors this year as well.
Oh, and from like the scorecards and the scores everyone else had, it seemed like Rochester played hard.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I mean the pin locations on Sunday were provocative. The rain on Friday and Saturday was a factor. The rough was it wasn't like the thickest, hardest rough to play out of, but it was weird, I think is how the players described it. So
yeah, but I mean for the cut line to be 5 over.
Yeah, there was a premium on hitting the fairway and hitting it to the right spots of the greens, which is how major championship golf should be. So I thought that the venue held up well. This week we have the Charles Schwab Challenge. Defending champion Sam Burns' Colonial Country Club in Fort Worth, Texas. Got a nice field this week. Then I just threw this in there. Sergio Garcia fired a 66-66 in U.S. Open qualifier. He is now in the field at LACC in June. He was not in the field last week at the PGA. So LIV players are going to have to do different things to get into some of these majors now, and there's one of them for Sergio. But on to college basketball.
This is all you because I forgot that.
I got Kevin McCullough is returning to Kansas for the 2023-24 season. Jayhawks a clear preseason number 1. They already added Michigan transfer Hunter Dickinson and Texas transfer Arterio Morris and some other freshmen to the roster. So you're looking at a lineup with Morris or DeJuan Harris, who's a veteran guard, KJ Adams, Hunter Dickinson, Kevin McCullough. This team's going to be very, very good, and it'll be a fun battle at the top of the Big 12, probably between Kansas, Texas, Kansas State, Baylor, Houston. So should be fun. Then you also had Caleb Love, who decommitted from Michigan after another academic issue where Michigan's admissions are just the threshold is all very difficult, so he couldn't get in. He's linked to Texas, Arizona, and Gonzaga now after being back in the portal. So, I
wouldn't think he'd go to Gonzaga after what's-his-name just left to go to Gonzaga to be their point guard.
Ryan Nimhard from Creighton, yes. And I think Arizona, I feel like they picked up a guard, but maybe I'm wrong. But Texas is also in the mix there, so we'll see. Major League Baseball, Adam Wainwright notched his 197th win. It was against the Reds in Cincinnati. His ERA is over 5 for his career in Cincinnati, so he wasn't great last night, but the Cardinal offense picked him up. And it looks like 200 wins is pretty reachable for him. 3 more, I mean, there's a lot of time. But
wasn't it also last week or weekend Arenado picked up his 1,000th RBI?
Yeah, he hit his 300th home run earlier in the season and 1,000th RBI last week.
And then you got the Oakland A's are now 10-40.
Yeah, I just thought this would be interesting to throw in there because it's just so bad.
I mean, their attendance is horrible. They're moving to Nevada or Las Vegas after this year.
It's I mean it's about as bad gets. I don't is there any other team with less than 20 wins? I mean, They might be the only one, and they have 10.
Yeah, I have no idea. Good tight.
The Royals are 15-35. So
I'm glad I picked them this week.
yeah, I have this thing where I've been picking on, or I keep picking the White Sox for some reason, and I did it again this week. So yeah.
Player of the week.
I got Cardinals second baseman Nolan Gorman. He was also the NL Player of the Week last week. 8 for 20, 3 home runs, 6 RBIs, a double, 8 hits, 5 runs, and an OPS of 1.355. Having a huge season, an all-star level season. He obviously had the signature 3-run home run on Saturday night against the Dodgers off of a lefty. So he can hit lefties now, so you watch out. But, yeah, he's been terrific.
I almost went with the Cardinals' new bring-up, Mercado.
He's been big, yeah.
But I went with the Dodgers first baseman Freddie Freeman.
Yeah.
Over the last 7 days, he was 12 for 29, 7 runs, 4 doubles, 1 triple, 2 home runs, 9 RBIs, 1 walk.
Yeah, it just seems like he murders the Cardinals every time. Always gets hits.
But the Cardinals won the series.
That's right. Yeah, they're starting to figure. I mean, the Cardinals are 22-28, but they're only 3.5 games out of the wild card. So
yeah, hey, I said it the other day. I told someone, I go, after Ethan complained about him on the podcast, they've turned a switch. So I don't know if some Cardinal player is listening out there, but we appreciate it.
Yeah, it could be part of it. Could be part of it. There's definitely some potential in that. But yeah, I think that they've figured out that their offense is capable of scoring a lot of runs, and they've been doing so. And their schedule's easing up a little bit after the Dodgers series. Now they got the Reds and the Cleveland, but you know, who knows? Got a little bit of a flurry of NHL news here where the Toronto Maple Leafs parted ways with general manager Kyle Dubas. His contract was set to expire in June. He will speak with the Penguins about their vacancy. Penguins very interested in him. That's been well documented for over a year now about how if the Penguins ever needed a new GM, then they probably want Dubas to be out in Toronto. And I think it's kind of a gauge where he's at. Does he want to come back and be a GM for another team next season? But I would think Pittsburgh wants him badly. So we'll see.
And then the favorite for the Leafs GM is said to be Brad Treliving or
Tree Living.
Yeah. Former Flames GM. Long way to go.
Yeah, there's a lot of different candidates possible for this job. There's a lot of names out there. So I think while Tree Living might be the leader right now, I think that could change within a matter of hours at this point. And I'm very curious to see how the Leafs still have Sheldon Keefe as their head coach. I thought if they would have parted ways with Dubas, they would have fired the coach. So I'm a little bit confused as to why he's still there, but who knows what happens. But you also had the Flames hire Craig Conroy, their assistant GM, as their GM to replace Tree Living. So changing direction in Calgary, they're going to hire a new head coach as well. But we're just starting to get into it with the coaching and GM things around the NHL. So we'll see.
Yeah, probably more done after the finals are done.
Yeah. In the Stanley Cup Playoffs, Eastern Conference Finals, the Hurricanes are down 3-0 to the Panthers. Hasn't been good. Has not been good for Carolina. They've struggled mightily. You got Game 4 tonight at 7. We'll be making picks on the Vegas-Dallas game. So, you know, but it is weird that all 4 series in the NBA and the NHL have been this big of blowouts in the conference finals.
But this is also, I mean, you've got the 8 seed knocking out the 1 and 2 seed.
And what are the odds that the 8 seeds wreaking havoc in the Eastern Conferences of the NBA and the NHL are both from Florida?
That too.
Yeah.
And the other team who probably should have been in the East Conference Final should have been the Boston team.
That's true. But the Panthers feel like a team of destiny for sure.
Yeah. And then in the Western Conference Final, you got the Knights over the Stars, just 3-0.
Yeah, I think the Panthers complete the sweep, but I think the Stars win Game 4 against Vegas. But either way, I still think we're going to see Vegas and Florida.
That's in Dallas, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, hey, Bruce Cassidy obviously overstayed his welcome in Boston. It didn't seem like the players liked him at the end, but he's done a
I don't
hell
want
of
to
a
hear his
job.
name.
He's
I
done
don't
a
want to
hell
hear
of a
his
job in
name.
Vegas. Hell of a job. The way that their roster's constructed, yeah, obviously has a lot of talent, but
He
the
got
goal.
gifted that hand delivered.
Yeah, well, the goaltending's been a mess all season, and he's managed it pretty well. But I think it helps that they have a lot of guys that are from that original Vegas team, like Marchessault and Smith and Stone, to where I think it makes it easier on the coach. But it is kind of funny that Vegas has had so many coaches already, and it's only their 5th year, and they've also had a ton of success combined with how many coaches they've had. So,
But like we said, they were gifted a heck of a lineup, and that's why.
well, they've made a lot of weird moves too.
I'm saying that's why the Kraken didn't, because they made that other change after what Vegas did.
Yeah, that's true. All right, let's do the picks now. Like I said, golf last week was a disaster for me. I didn't hit on any. Yeah, Hovland was the only one I was really close on. I had Phil top 40. He was like T50 something. So, and then I went 1-0 in the NBA, 0-1 in the NHL, 4-1 in baseball, 5-2 overall.
And since I'm currently not home, I do not know what I went. I believe I was 1-1. I think I was 1-1 in the NBA and NHL, and then I want to say 2-3 or 3-2 in the MLB, but I don't know how my golf finished. I know I did have Bryson as my top 40, so I definitely got one golfer.
Yeah, definitely. All right, let's start with baseball this week.
I got the Blue Jays plus 115 over the Rays, the Marlins minus 120 over the Rockies, the Padres minus 180 over the Nationals, the Orioles plus 105 over the Yankees, and the Cardinals minus 170 over the Reds.
I have the Cardinals minus 170 over the Reds, White Sox minus 135 over the Tigers, Orioles plus 105 over the Yankees, Padres minus 180 at the Nationals, and the Rockies plus 100 against the Marlins.
When must it be close? You always have that one game against me.
It's true. NBA playoffs.
I got the Heat plus 8 over the Celtics.
Me as well. Just a weird line. I mean, the Heat are 2-0 in Boston. They're going to play them close. I don't see a team with Jimmy Butler getting blown out. They kind of got blown out last night, but the wheels came off a little bit late. But I think they'll keep it within a, if not win.
Yeah, I did look back at the scores for the first 2 games, and Jaylen Brown wasn't really there. So he must have played very well last night.
Yeah. Stanley Cup playoffs.
I got Vegas plus 105.
I'll take the Stars minus 125 to avoid the sweep, but I still think they'll probably lose in 5 if they do avoid the sweep. I think going to Vegas twice and trying to win in a Game 5 or a Game 7 is like impossible. So,
well, and when you're staring down the barrel of 3-0, it's kind of you're either going to try super hard and fail, or it's going to work.
Yeah. All right, Charles Schwab Challenge picks.
To win, I have Tony Finau plus 1,400, Colin Morikawa plus 1,400, and Victor Hovland plus 1,600.
I got Colin Morikawa plus 1,400, Max Homa plus 2,200, and Cam Davis, who played well last week at plus 3,500.
Top 5, I have Scotty Scheffler plus 115.
I have Ricky Fowler plus 600, taking a flyer.
Top 10, I have Sung J M at plus 225.
I have Denny McCarthy plus 450.
Top 20, I have Max Homa at plus 125.
Easy money. I'll take Minwoo Lee plus 250.
I don't know about easy money. I'm just hoping he kind of gets his game back. Because isn't this challenge where they play different styles?
I don't even know how it works.
And then top 40, I took Justin. Is it Suh or Sue?
Suh.
At plus 110.
Yeah, he was kind of in the mix on Saturday last week, and then the wheels came off a little bit. But top 40, I'm going Austin Eckroat plus 120. I saw him up close and personal at the Corn Ferry Tour event at Panther Creek last year. Played really well the week before the PGA. So give me Eckroat top 40. He's been playing pretty well. All right, that'll do it for us. We'll be back next week for 113.
Yep.
We got like 5 or 6 more before the July break, but we got some. We'll probably have an NBA Finals matchup and a Stanley Cup Final matchup in the set up by then, and some other things as well. And we'll see everybody next week for number 113.
Deuces.